Hey everyone, my name is Trevor Dayley. I recently did a shoot out in Picacho Peak, and this was actually with my daughter, who is celebrating her quinceañera soon. So we went out and we did about an hour and a half before sunset first. We shot some naturally lit photographs in the base of the mountain in the shadows, and it was absolutely beautiful. Got some really pretty shots. Then what I want to do is I want to create something totally different, which is what I like to do for every single client. I like to kind of give them, some naturally lit photographs, some with flash, kind of a mix of everything. I like to say you got to have lots of arrows in your quiver, right? Something to launch out there. Because it was my daughter, her younger sister actually came with us, so I put her to work, of course. So the first shot that I did, I had Annabelle turn towards me, and I want to shoot directly into the sun. So in shots like this, oftentimes you kind of wash out their skin. You don't get a whole lot of contrast. So I want to change that by adding the MagBox and really lighting her skin up so we can create some contrast there. So in this photograph, I set my light up. It's kind of a Paramount light setup. You'll also notice there's a little catch light in the eyes, and it's really important to have a light to basically make those eyes pop, to have that little catch light there. My settings here were 1/200th of a second, f8, ISO 100, and I shot this with a 135mm lens. For the next shot, I set Annabelle up, and I have her basically shooting towards her back, and I'm using the MagBox just to fill in the shadows. So I'm essentially just trying to balance the flash and the ambient light together. At this shot, my settings were 1/200th of a second, my f-stop was 5.6, my ISO 100, and my flash was around 1/16th power. The one thing I would like to just mention is when you're trying to balance it with the ambient, start with a lower power, 1/64th, 1/32nd, and just kind of slowly move that up. And depending on, it's not gonna be the same every time, guys. So if I tell you my settings, that doesn't mean you can go out and just put those settings and know. It all depends on where that flash is, how close it is to your subject as well. So just keep that in mind. But basically my goal here was with the MagBox is just fill in the shadows and balance it with the ambient. For the next shot, I just stepped back a little bit and I want to get just a little bit more light on Annabelle's face, so I increased my flash power just a tad. Next, we move over to her large rock, and I went back, I turned off my flashes for just a second, and I shot just natural light. I absolutely love the photograph. I mean, I think it's absolutely beautiful of Annabelle standing there. The only thing that I missed here was the color and the cloud structure, because to expose properly, I was making my sky very white and losing that ability there to pull those clouds and that color into the shot. So what I did is I set up a MagBeam for this photograph. I did that because basically my light was further back on a hill and there's a big slope, so it wasn't really a good place to put a light stand or even have somebody stand there, quite honestly. Put the MagBeam on, and that gives me a nice narrow beam of light from further back. So if you want to light something up that's kind of far away and maybe you can't put your light stand there, or you don't want to Photoshop it out later, the MagBeam is fantastic for that. So I put it back. After turning on the flash, went from f4 to f9. So about 2.5 stops is what I closed down. And by doing that, you can see my sky now looks absolutely beautiful. I get this gorgeous color, I can see all the cloud structure. So again, I was able to do that with the MagBeam and not have that light fill up the foreground and fill up the plants. I had Annabelle sit down, we did a very similar shot, but all I wanted to change was I just wanted to make it just a little bit more balanced. I wanted to look less flashy, I guess you could say. So I actually took my f-stop from f9, I went down to 5.6, so I opened it up a little bit, and then I turned my flash power way down. So now I'm trying to get this really cool balance of light where it almost looks like there was no flash even used. Next, we actually shifted our direction. We shot the other way towards the mountain with the sun, which by now had set at my back. I wanted to create a look as if Annabelle was looking into the setting sun, but of course it had already set. So I actually put a half CTO on my MagBox in order to just warm up her skin tones a little bit, and it also was nice because I was able to bring my white balance down to about 4,000 and be able to get a little bit more bluer sky as well. I shot this photograph at 1/200th of a second, f2, ISO 100. Once we got that shot, I decided to switch back again to the other side, shoot more into that where the sun had set. But by this time, the clouds were just gray. There wasn't really any color. And so I wanted to add some color into them. You guys have probably seen my videos before. If you haven't, we'll be sure to link to them below. But essentially, if you want to make that sky look like an epic sunset, which I like doing on every single shoot, just add a full CTB or even a half CTB. In this scenario, I added a full CTB. I took my white balance up to about 9,000 Kelvin, and I'm able to get this incredibly epic sunset behind her, which looks absolutely beautiful. My settings here were 1/200th of a second, f2, ISO 100. Finally, after quickly packing up the mag case, we headed down the mountain, thought we were all done, and as we're getting close to the car, I said, Annabelle, let me just do one last photograph. The cool thing about the MagBox is it's so stinking easy to set up that I was able to just literally pull it out, have it all set up in less than a minute. I threw another flash behind her with a mag grid pointed towards her, and then my wife sprayed some atmosphere aerosol in the air just to kind of get a little bit of a dusty feeling behind her, and we shot one last photograph. Because it was already dark outside, I had to bump my ISO on this one, so I was at shutter speed 1/80th of a second, f5, ISO 2000. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to subscribe to the MagMod channel and hit the little bell notification. If you have any questions for me, let me know in the comments below. I'm happy to answer those for you. Thanks everyone.